So hello everyone, and I'm very happy to be here. It's a little bit strange not to be in Yaroslav at this time of the year, like in flesh. It usually was just such a great start of the new academic year, but still to be able to join the conference online, it still gives about this feeling of belonging. Yeah, and I hope that you're all still enjoying the conference, even if you didn't have a chance to go to Yaroslav yourself. Okay, so today I am going to talk about gamification, and it's like, well, gamification is a very tricky, actually, word, and many people understand it a little bit in the wrong way. That's why I gave the title to my talk, so you can see it on the slide. If you think you know how to gamify your lessons, then you are deadly wrong. And today I'm going to talk about some of my ideas and why I have come to this conclusion. And gamification these days, it's a little bit like, like sex in middle school. Everybody talks about it, but just a few people really know what it is. And today I'm going to be a kind of gamification mythbuster, I think. And I want to and I hope that by the end of my talk, you will know for sure what gamification is and what is not gamification. Okay, Oksana has already introduced me. I run Trained English Community, and we organize conferences for English teachers, and along with conferences, workshops, and trainings, we also produce games, and we run workshops on gamification and working with games. And so if you're interested in it, so you can join our social networks and visit our websites. Well, yeah, thank you, Oksana. Well, actually, it wasn't me who came up with this sentence. I just picked up it from somebody else, actually, just to be honest. So very often when gamification has been a buzzword of, I think, for almost more than a decade, and today many people say, okay, I gamify my lessons, we use gamification in our school. I conducted a survey just before the conference among my colleagues, and I asked them if they gamify their lessons. 82% said yes. My follow-up question was, and what exactly do you do? Can you specify? And can you guess what was the most common answer? Any ideas? You can write them in the chat. So when people think that they gamify their lessons, what do they do? Okay, there is a prompt at the slide, actually. Okay. Yeah, Oksana, that's right. They play games. And the thing is that gamification and games-based learning and just using games during your lessons, these are three different things. So gamification is not playing games. And this is a big mistake to think that if you play some games during your lessons, that you gamify your lesson. Gamification is something different. Let me give you an example. For example, you need to work with your students on the spelling of these words. How can you do it? Of course, you can make them write these words 100 times, and they will remember for sure how to spell them. But this is not our way of working with students. We are good teachers, and so we want to encourage them. If you use some kind of games, for example, a handman, or if you use running dictation, that doesn't mean that you gamify your lesson. That means that you just use games to drill and to practice the spelling of these words. And what is the key difference between gamification and games? When you play games, you change the activity itself. So you don't spell the words, you don't write words in your notebooks. So you do something different. Yes, you open words in running dictation, you run somewhere, and then you get back to your desk and you write words. When we talk about gamification, it's not about changing the core activity. In gamification, you keep on doing what you always do, but your teacher or the person who gamifies the system tries to change your behavior and your attitude to this boring and routine process. Okay, can you give me an example of gamification now, if you can understand, based on this work? Okay, you want to gamify the process of spelling words. That means that your students still have to write these words. So what will you do to get to make them a little bit more motivated about this activity? And we don't think about games, so we don't play any games. We just keep on writing. So what can you add to your lesson to gamify it? Any ideas? Use a timer. Very good. So that you mean that how many words you can write correctly within a short period of time. Very good guess. I like this idea. Anything else? Any other ideas? Teams. You compete. Good. Clues to bigger problems they have to solve by the end. Okay, I think Oksana is quite much into gamification, yeah, and well, she gives some just deeper ideas, which we can then we can think well. At first. Okay, so yeah, so we don't sometimes very often what many teachers do, they give points or badges to their students. Yeah? And okay, you write a few lines of words correctly and you get a star. You write some more words and you get a badge. So you've got 10 points, you are on the first place, you've got 5 points, you are at the lowest position. So this is what teachers do quite often when they gamify their lessons. So they just reward students with some points and badges. And well, actually, people who are experts in gamification, they have a special term for this kind of teachers' behavior. It is called pointification. And again, this is not real gamification. As points, well, they are very good just to motivate students initially, but points only have a short-term impact and have no long-term impact. Well, students lose motivation very quickly. If you use different leaderboards and ratings, you also have to be very careful with them. I did this print screen from one of the groups of Contacti where I took place, and there was a kind of competition I took place in. And can you see that my position is 0? I've got 0 points, and the person who is on the first place, she has already got 691 points. Is it fair for me? What is my point even in joining this game? So if you give points to your students, you do more harm than good, actually. Smart students, they feel flattered, but again, they don't have any challenge. They have nobody to compete with. Weaker students, they don't want to take part in this competition, as they always lose. So just believe me that points and badges, they are good just for the start, but they won't work in long term. And actually, many people think that given points and given badges, this is gamification. Those who know that using games is not gamification, well, but points and badges, this is not also true gamification. This is pointification. One more problem which we face when we use points with our students is that our students don't really understand why they need these points. Okay, what is like the most common aim of getting a point? Can you write any of your ideas in the chat? Okay, if you give points to your students, can you write in the chat, what do your students get in the end? So why do they need these points? So if you don't use this system of reward, okay, then maybe you can just come up with some ideas. Okay, why do we need? No homework. So this is a kind of a bonus. Okay, Aksan, thank you. Okay, actually, I like this one. This is quite well understandable. Yeah, okay, I've been working so hard this month, and so next month, okay, I won't get any homework, and this is worth working for. Buy something, get a prize, a toy. This is what I was driving at. Yes, very often, the ability to be a teacher for a lesson, the feeling of success. Yeah, I do like that there are different options which you put in the chart, and I like that not everybody writes about getting prizes and buying some tangible things. Of course, students, okay, if you just award your students with prizes all the time, it's like buying and paying, it's like paying your students for what they have to do. And actually, they don't have to be paid for this. And when you start paying your students for something that they have to do, and at the moment you stop paying, they stop doing it. Well, actually, this kind of motivation is very bad. Well, and so this kind of motivation will do much more harm than in the end than you can even think about. But these ideas about homework, being a teacher, are well, these are quite good ideas. These are like some bonuses that students can get if they work hard. Okay, I'm going to give you some examples from my experience. In the picture, you can see my students, and as you can see, well, this is a group I work at home. Well, and for the last year, I didn't work for any schools. I just had private students at home and some online students, and this is my home group. So you see, this is our lesson, and well, actually, they are eating pizza and sushi. And this is what we did last fall with them. I gave out them points. I gave them points, and then these points could be exchanged for some bonuses. But it wasn't me who said what kind of bonuses they are going to have. They came up with the types of bonuses themselves. It is very well, it is really necessary to give some kind of autonomy to our students. They have to make decisions themselves. So at the beginning of the month, each month, they write bonuses they want to get by the end. And then they get their points. And at the end of the month, okay, I just fulfill their dreams and wishes. Okay, and the bonus, well, that was one of them ideas my students put on a piece of paper. It was like, okay, let's have some sushi and pizza during the lesson, and they really enjoyed it. Okay, so let's move on. Sometimes when I ask my colleagues, why do you need gamification? They say, I need to gamify my lessons because my students are not really motivated. And then I ask the next question, and can you specify what exactly do you want your students to do? And so what exactly do you want to gamify? And I can say a blank face. Well, teachers don't really understand that you can't just gamify everything. So it's impossible just to motivate. So motivation is a big word. You have to put it apart, and you have to find some goals, some aims you're going to work with. So what exactly do you want to change in your students' behavior? And when I run workshops with my colleagues, with other teachers, this is what this is the first step. So this is what we usually start with. First of all, we make a list of problems we want to solve with in our classroom. Then we make sure that these problems can be solved with help of gamification. Gamification is a time-consuming thing, and sometimes no, I don't limit the choice of bonuses, but I can discuss with them this or that bonus. Okay, so then we make sure there are some problems can be can be solved by means of by other means. much less costly, much easier. Then we prioritize our problems and we start working only with problem number 1 or with problem number 2. And here in the slide, you can see just a screenshot with from our Padlet shelf when we worked with our groups. When I work with my trainees, you see, so the first thing we start problems. Only then we get to game mechanics, to legends, stories, and different characters in our gamification frameworks. Okay, I would ask you now to have a look at this list of problems. Which ones can be solved? There are only 2 which I would solve with the help of gamification. The others I wouldn't. So what do you think? Which ones shouldn't be solved with gamification? You can actually write the numbers. Well, that's my mistake. I should have put numbers next to them, not bullets. That would have been easier. But sorry, this idea have just come. Okay, number 3. My students don't turn on their videos. Yeah, but actually this is an actual question. Well, one of the 2, 4, and 5. Okay, so let's okay, you can still keep on writing your ideas. Let's talk about number 3. My students don't turn on their videos in Zoom, and that was a real problem. One of the teachers came to me with this problem, and we had a consultation, and okay, we discussed it. But the reason this point should be solved by means of team building, yeah, and maybe working with the groups and understanding why teenagers don't turn on videos when they have their Zoom lessons, and what can be done just to solve the gamification. Well, it can help here, of course, but it's not the best way of solving this problem. So about number 2, my students don't do writing tasks. Why I put this example? Why did I put it here? Just once I talked to one of the teachers, and she said, okay, my students don't write compositions, they don't do their writing tasks. And then we started having a look at how she sets this task, and it was like this. Okay, let's have a task in the book. So this is your task for the next lesson. Please next time bring writing papers to the classroom. So very often you should start with a methodology. So if you know how to work on with this or that skill, that's enough. And maybe you even wouldn't need gamification. Well, my students are not motivated. It is for gamification, but this is a very big problem. So we should put them into smaller pieces. And so actually, what would I take up as a question for gamification? I would go for my students don't do homework. But again, I would think about, okay, what do you want from your students? Do you want just to bring their homework? Do you want them to do all the tasks in the homework? Or do you want them to do this homework 5% correctly without mistakes? Okay, actually, there are 3 different problems to be solved. My students speak Russian. Okay, that's a good point to be solved by means of gamification. So always think about your target, about your aim. So what kind of behavior you want from your students? I want my students not to speak Russian. I want my students to bring home, at least to bring some part of the homework to the lesson. And this is very important to start with this point. Okay, I will give you some examples. You remember my group, my home group. And so, well, actually I had 2 big problems to solve. They didn't, it was very difficult for them to memorize how to spell new words. They didn't want to work on a spelling. And the second one, they didn't listen to authentic audios for a lot of times. You know, when you give a dialogue, a conversation, or a text from a course book, and you give the audio to this text, and you want your students to listen to it for like at least 50 maybe times, maybe not 100 times. So as you want them to copy the pronunciation and just to sound as authentic as possible. And so this is how I decided. I decided to solve this problem. So they wrote down their bonuses, then which they wanted to get at the end of the month. Then I put all these bonuses into a box, and at one of the lessons I sealed this box with 6 layers of sellotape. And I said that I can remove 1 layer of sellotape when they write their spelling quiz for a good mark. And every time we have like 80% success with the spelling quiz, I removed 1 layer from this box. But one lesson, this box disappeared from the table. And what we had to do, we had to find it, as they knew that it was somewhere in the flat, but where exactly? And I said that, okay, you've got this conversation from the course book. I want you to reproduce this conversation as close to the original as possible. And to make it a little bit easier for you, I want you to make a cartoon. I usually work with Toontastic program. Fantastic. So I'll put it in the chat. Okay, so you make a cartoon. So you can go to Trendy English Games YouTube channel. There are some videos there. Okay, and when you upload your video, then you go to the comments and you will get some hints. And so each lesson I gave them a hint in the comments under their videos, and so they had to solve some quizzes, some rebuses, and by the end they found this box with their wishes in my bedroom on a bookshelf. Well, this is gamification without using points. Well, actually, they still earned points as they wanted to exchange them for their bonuses. But my point was to change their behavior. I wanted them to study harder for spelling tests, for spelling quizzes, and I wanted them to listen to orders. And I could achieve these goals. Okay. That is another example. When I worked with another group, their pain, my pain was to make them do grammar exercises. They didn't like doing grammar exercises. That's why for each unit they had to collect some chemical elements from different planets, and for each all these they needed these elements for rocket fuel to fly from one stellar system to another stellar system. And for each unit I gave them a formula, like for example you need 10 points of vocabulary and 50 points of grammarium and like 1 point of writing. And it wasn't me who said, okay guys, today we are going to do some grammar. They looked at this formula. Oh, so we don't need enough grammarium. Okay, Yelena, let's do some grammar today. They didn't like it, but they needed it. And this is how I motivated. This is how I changed their behavior. And actually, this is how I'm a little bit manipulated. Yeah. Another thing I want to focus your attention on is that points is not given out. Points, it's not the only game mechanic you can use. Here on the slide, you can see just some more game mechanics, and I really like Yukai Chao's Octalysis framework with descriptions of different game mechanics we can use with our students. And just here is a picture of me talking to Yukai. I just want to show off a little bit, yeah. That I have learned from the best people in gamification. Okay, we are not going to discuss all game mechanics right now, as this is the question just of a different talk or even a different workshop. But just believe me, points is not the only thing. You can motivate and you can use a lot of other game mechanics in your work. And the next thing, giving points without story. Yes, gamifying your lesson without story. Yes, you can do it. But if you create some kind of story, some legend, it always works much better. Everybody likes stories. Teenagers like stories. Little kids like stories. Adults like stories. And it's not so difficult to come up with a good story. All stories are pretty much the same. You have a character, the main character, and you help this character to achieve some epic goal, to save the world, to save the city, to get out of a haunted house and save all the children trapped in this haunted house. And just then you create an evil character, an antagonist, and that is the character who wants to destroy and the world and to prevent you from achieving this goal, and that's it. Well, actually it is very, very easy, believe me. But still, of course, it is a little bit time consuming. It is easy but time consuming. And we have already been working with these stories for a long time, and I've been working with gamification already for more than 7 years. And we have got some ready-made stories and gamification systems for different levels and for different grammar and vocabulary lessons. And so if you are interested in some of them, you can just visit our site, Trendy English Games, or there is a special one, Trendy English Camp, and find all the information you might need for your lessons. Okay, I'm just trying to type the name of the website in the chat, but something went wrong. Okay. So gamification, it is not about changing the whole lesson procedure. Okay, your lesson just stays as it is. You still do the same things as you always do. You read texts, you write, you do some writing tasks, you do grammar and vocabulary exercises, but gamification helps your students to focus on particular aspects and to pay a little bit more attention to these aspects. If you have a look at this slide, you can see that these are two, well, practically identical pictures. It's about the same, but gamification just helps you to see something at another angle, at a new perspective. And well, gamification, it's more about human-focused design of your lesson. Not process focus, not function focus, not process focus. It's about human focused design. You think about your students, you think about what they really want to achieve, and you think what kind of motivational drives can help you can help your students to achieve the goals which actually you as a teacher need. And here is just an example. It's all in Russian. This is an example of how we work on creating a gamification framework with our teachers, with teachers who come to us for help. So you see, so it's like gamification is not a bad thing. Gamification is a very good thing, but very often it is just very badly designed. Okay, thanks for your comments in the chat. Okay, first of all, you think about the problems you want to solve, then you proceed to choosing necessary game mechanics. You try to choose which game mechanics will help you to achieve these goals, and only then you apply the story. And it is always good then to apply the next level of the story to your lessons. Okay, and gamification. Oh, okay, I think I didn't translate this slide into English. Okay, it's just missed it. So gamification, it's a never-ending process. You can't just create the game. Okay, we are going to do this, that, and that. No, it doesn't work like this. So every 2 weeks, you stop, you have a look what you have already done. You change some game mechanics. Maybe your students stopped speaking Russian in their lessons. Why do you have to reward them for not speaking Russian? You just go to the next problem you want to solve. Okay, your students, okay, they like vocabulary, they do all vocabulary exercises with great pleasure. Okay, stop motivating them for doing vocabulary exercises. So this is a process which you should always reconsider and get, well, revise, get back to some points. Okay, actually, if you want to know more about gamification, we already have a ready-made video course. Natalia Ivanova, Olga Lander, and me. So we ran this big gamification workshop in April, and we made it into a video course, and this video course is available. So after this video course, you'll be able to create your own gamification system and try it with your students. Okay, and if you are still not sure that you want to start gamification and you want to work with games first, I have got a present to you. If you join our group Vkontakte, Trend English Games group, well, with adults, it's just still the same. The same rules, the same laws work with adults, believe me. And well, even the games I showed you in some previous slides, we played all of them with our with adult students as well, and many of them are available in online versions. Okay, so if you, I'll stop sharing my screen for a little while. If you want just to get a present, if you join today our group of ВКонтакте and subscribe, именно подпишитесь на рассылку, as a present, you will get this worksheet. This is a collection of games and game-like activities you can use instead of boring exercises from your course book. So there are descriptions of these games and links to YouTube videos which we made for you. Okay, to get this present, so you just go to our group Trendy English Games group ВКонтакте and subscribe. Вот именно подписаться на рассылку надо. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Could you please send the link to this group?
Yeah, I'll do it. Okay,
yeah,
I'll do it now.
That's going to be more comfortable. Thank you.
Okay. Do you have any questions? If we have time for questions, Oksana, do we have time?
Yes, we have. We still have 7 minutes. So there was a question that you've already answered regarding special tricks for online classes. Have you changed anything when you moved from offline to online classes? Were there any changes? I mean, in terms of gamification methodology?
Only technical, only technically. I mean, the principles are still the same. It's just you don't use card game. Well, you don't give out cards. You don't give like tangible points and badges. You just use virtual scenes. It's all well. Actually, in this video course, as we had this workshop in April, and we were right in the middle of lockdown. So we always talk about online classes, and Natasha Ivanova, her blog, her video is about visualizing online gamification systems. So she just gives quite a few, she gives quite a few ideas what can you use, what online tools you can use to gamify your lessons online.
There is a question regarding the worksheet. So this bonus worksheet.
If you are already subscribed, вот именно подписаны на рассылку, you can just send a message and ask for this worksheet. I mean, in ВКонтакте, in our ВКонтакте group, and Daria will send you this worksheet. Yeah, we change this presence from time to time, and maybe you got something different, not this particular worksheet. Okay, and in case you don't know about our okay, this is a link, a direct link to our video course on gamification, and the website where you can buy all our games. Okay, I'll send you a link as well.
And yeah, don't forget that today at 1:30 you can try. You can try them. Yeah, you can.
If you want to try our games, I'm not talking now about gamification. It's about games, and this is and I hope now you understand that these are different things. Our online games are available here. Games of Znania. And today at from 1:30 till 4:30, we are going to try and to play these games. And so a link to our Zoom room. It is somewhere in the chat.
Yeah, let me.
Okay, I'll send it once again. Okay, I think these are all the links. Okay, gamification is a really powerful tool, and if you know how to use it correctly, it will really help you in your work. And when you are familiar with many gamification laws, you stop spending too much time on gamifying your lesson. Of course, at first it takes a lot of time and effort, but eventually, as your mastery develops, you enjoy it more and more. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you very much for your talk. Thank you very much. Yeah, I hope that it was really interesting for those who, who didn't know a lot about gamification. Yeah, and we'll journey later today to feel ourselves kids again.
Okay, bye-bye.
By the way, do you?
No? Okay.
Is there any difference? Do you feel any difference between gamifying online and offline classes? Do students behave maybe a bit differently?
Okay, I should say that gamification online is even much easier. You
Really?
spend less time on preparing different visuals. Preparing online visuals is much easier. Okay, well, the reality is that gamification, it drives from online games. That's why there are much more online tools for gamification than offline tools. So originally it was an online thing. That's why gamifying online classes, it's a little bit easier. Okay, and if talking about maybe teenagers and adults, if you want to gamify your adult classes, I think you will have just to explain them a little bit more. You have to explain them why it is important and why it works. Well, adults they always want explanations. And when they understand that it really works better, then they'll be your friends. Okay. And be very careful. Never play games and never gamify your lessons unless you work on team building. So team building first, then games and gamification. Otherwise, your students will be quite embarrassed, they will be shy, and there might be some well, negative behavior, some behaviors which you don't want in your classroom. Okay, thank you.
That's a good point. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank
bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Bye-bye.